So now I'll turn it over to John Davis, who's representing the California Resource Recovery Association. And John administers the Mojave Desert and Mountain Recycling Authority, including the Recycling Market Development Zone. And he is a former president of the California Resource Recovery Association and the California Association of the Recycling Market Development Zones. And he's also a consultant, and I've worked with him for a long time. He's very knowledgeable. So John, you want to take your 5 minutes?
Thanks, Heidi. I'm going to talk about CRA, the California Resource Recovery Association. I'm still an advisor to that association. It's a membership kind of professional organization, pretty broad tent, covers all aspects of recycling in California. We just held the 35th annual conference last week in Coronado. There were 450, close to 500 people there. So it really is the group that brings together all aspects of recycling on a regular basis in California. CRA adopted an updated mission, vision, and principle statement in December of 2009, and some of those principles, I think, relate specifically to what we talk here. So of the 6 principles, actually half of them are quite specific. One is that we should be managing materials and not waste. And so, with all respects to waste energy, we need to focus on materials. And if we view a material as a waste, it has a value connotation, usually a negative value. We need to look at not just the energy that's embedded in the materials, but also the scarce and raw materials that are a part of that. So, think of materials. And there still is waste in that discussion, but let's think of materials, and even materials that have a negative value are still materials. One of the other visions in the CRA policy is to preserve the embedded energy and value. So it relates to the idea that once you take polymers and create a PET bottle out of that polymer, you've taken both the value of the material and the value of the energy into that material. I participate on some discussions on the West Coast, EPA-managed discussions amongst state and local and tribal governments. And the idea is that upstream in materials, when you extract a material from the ground or harvest that material and then process it in the initial processing, you put a tremendous amount of energy into that. If you take a recycled bottle and put it back into the manufacturing process, you avoid all that initial extraction and primary processing. And so you not only preserve those scarce materials, but you also better manage the energy that goes into them. So the 6th point is right, I think, specifically to what we're going to talk about today, which is the local utilization of resources. It's not just about exporting materials where there's demand, because we're in an international market. It's a flat world, and there's only so much we can do to effectively manage. We can get out of our way, and we should be making PET bottles here. Should we be making cardboard in California to flatten, to ship, to use for packing products that are manufactured somewhere else? That's a different issue, and so. Everything is very material specific, but economic development is very local. And I think we need to be focusing on items like dimensional lumber and food that are in our waste stream, and we're not going to be shipping. We are not going to be filling containers full of food scraps and shipping them in the ocean for 2 weeks to a month to be made into compost somewhere else. If that happens, it's going to be a long time before that happens. Those are local markets that need local attention. So, the idea is to be material specific. Every material requires its own. There's no silver bullet. You look at dimensional lumber. That's a different solution than compost. Different solution than plastic. It's a different solution than cardboard. And so we need to keep that materials focus. The predecessor to the CRA plan specified there should be no ban without a plan. Okay, and I think sometimes we lose track of that. We have a program called CalGreen that put in place a new statewide building code that requires 50% job site recycling as a mandate now for all building in California. 50% of construction material. Well, that construction material, for most part, doesn't have high value. There's no plan to handle that. There's no plan to handle the influx of dimensional lumber that will occur when we start building houses again. And I'm reminded of Alice's conversation with the Red Queen and Through the Looking Glass, where she was trying to find her way out of the forest, and the Queen said, "Well, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?" And Alice said, "I don't know. I just want to get out here." And the Queen said, "Well, it doesn't matter then, because without that direction, just come to the fork in the road and take it." So I guess the material that I want to focus on, though, in closing, is compost. There's a lot of food. I work in the Mojave Desert. We have a food composting facility. There are 2 in Southern California. There's one in the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District, one in the South Coast Air Quality Management District. I'm working on a second one. Our area, less than 500,000 people, will have twice the number of food composting facilities as the entire South Coast Air Quality Management District. Land is an issue for food composting. It can't go everywhere. We have land, so we can do that. You're going to put a food composting in downtown Los Angeles? Probably not. There's transportation logistics. We have labor issues and opportunities. At the end of the day, it's all about investments, developing markets, entrepreneurial opportunities. But the single point is that we need to get out of our way. We need to be working together. And we do know what to do. We just need to start doing it.
So the number one suggestion is to get out of our own way.
Get out of our own way.
Easier said than done, I think.
When the California Air Resources Board adopts a scoping plan that says we need more composting facilities to handle food waste, and try to get a compost facility in the San Joaquin or the South Coast Air Quality Management District, we're not working together.
We definitely have competing interests from some of the different agencies and so forth. So thank you very much, John, for your input there.